Now I'm gonna stop to see what you got. Get off the mic before I get too hot. I wanna see which posse can dance the best. It should be easy because the beat is fresh. Now, if you're from uptown, Brooklyn bound, the Bronx, Queens, or Long Island Sound, even other states come right and exact. It ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. Since you came here, you have to show and prove and do that dance until it don't move. Because all you need is soul, self-esteem will release. The rest is up to you. Rakim will say peace. Hey, so of course, that is the final verse of Eric B. and Rakim's classic 1987, I Know You Got Soul. Welcome to the Black Studies Open University, the spring event series of the Abolition Democracy Fellows Program of the Black Studies Collaboratory, housed in the Department of African American Studies here at UC Berkeley. Today's program, Hit2Hit, Battle of Celebrated Rwandan Music Producers Trackslayer and Dr. Nganji, a documentary screening and discussion, has been curated by Abolition Democracy Postdoctoral Fellow Dr. Victoria Natanas Grubbs, and is the third of 9 events in our Black Studies Open University Spring Series. My name is Lee Rayford. I am a professor of African American Studies here, and along with Dr. Tiana S. Pichel, co-director of the Black Studies Collaboratory. So for those of you who are new, the BSc is a 3-year initiative to explore and amplify the world-building work of Black Studies. With generous funding from the Andrew Mellon Foundation's Just Futures initiative, we have, over the course of the first 2 years of this grant, welcomed artists, activists, archivists, and elders into the campus community. We've produced a robust series of events in partnership with units on campus, around the Bay, and across the country. We've awarded some 30 grants of about $5,000 each to students, faculty, and staff supporting Black-centered collaborative projects, more than a third of which involve collaboration with off-campus partners. We have supported the research and development of more than 24 Black feminist scholars around the country and across the globe. And we're building long-term partnerships with Black-centered Bay Area organizations that are doing phenomenal work in health, education, art, and food justice. You can find out more about our work at our website, blackstudiescollab.berkeley.edu. So we're here at the UC Berkeley Art Museum at the threshold of the UC Berkeley campus in the city of Berkeley. We are sited on the territory of Huchun, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone peoples, the successors of the historic and sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community, both town and gown, has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution and the city's founding in 1868. In acknowledging the Ohlone history of this land, we acknowledge that the Ohlone people are thriving members of the Berkeley community who are actively imagining more just futures and engaging the tools that are needed to do that work. One way to make concrete such an acknowledgement is through the payment of Shumi land tax, a material way for non-Indigenous people living in the East Bay to participate in the rematriation of land to Indigenous peoples. And you can find out more about Shumi through the Sagarea Te Land Trust. So this series, the Black Studies Open University, is an effort to better understand the history and future of Black life on stolen lands. Today's panel is an invitation to think about and groove with the cultures and pleasures of joy, of self-regard, of badassery that we create in the wake, that is, in the aftermath and ongoingness of anti-Black catastrophe. This panel asks us to listen to the sounds of global Blackness and attend to the forms of togetherness produced in the here and now of a fat beat. Or, as Bobby Bird sang in 1971, sampled by Eric B. and Rakim, I know you got soul or else you wouldn't be up in here. So the Black Studies Open University is a commitment to Black Studies as a public good. We are inspired by the legacy of community campus pedagogical partnerships, like the Afro-American Association Reading Group of the 1960s, and the undergraduate-led democratic education at Cal courses, the DCAL courses, which are ongoing. We are inspired by SNCC's freedom schools and the political education classes of the Black Panther Party, and we take our name from the Open University in the UK, spearheaded by the late, great Stuart Hall, whose work provides an example of the pinnacle of intellectual pursuits performed for the public and in the public interest. So too is the Black Studies Open University a recognition that knowledge is produced, circulated, and put into use in a range of locations, from the kitchen table to the seminar room, from the street corner to the concert stage, from the prison cell to the lecture podium, and always, always in the cipher. Above all, the Black Studies Open University is an invitation to a mode of study that is always social and necessarily collaborative. It's an invitation to dream together, to dance together, and practice for new and more just ways of living. So it's great to see people who have been here before. Welcome if this is your first class at the Open University. We hope that you will continue to join us. We have 6 more events, including next week, so we'll be here. Before I introduce Dr. Grubbs, who will be moderating today's panel, I want to thank the beautiful collective of people who've made today and this series possible. The fantastic staff here at the Berkeley Art Museum, Pacific Archive, Film Archive, especially the Osher Theater staff, our BSc project manager extraordinaire, Barbara Montano, BSc graduate student assistants, Francesca Araujo and Alexandra Gassese, the Department of African American Studies, our ASL interpreters, Rory and Benny, here to my left from Pro Bono ASL. Today's panelists, celebrated music producers Trackslayer and Dr. Nganji, joining us from Kigali, Rwanda, and Dr. James Gordon-Williams, who's joining us all the way from Santa Cruz, and Brenda Umutoniwase, who will be here on stage joining Dr. Grubbs. We thank you all for making the time to join us today. We want to thank the ancestors, and we want to thank you all for joining us. And I want to thank Abolition Democracy Postdoctoral Fellow Dr. Victoria Grubbs for going all out in curating this screening, this film, this conversation today. Victoria Grubbs is a Black feminist, abolitionist educator committed to developing radical leadership in underserved communities in the US and abroad. She completed her PhD in the Department of Media, Culture, and Communications at New York University in May 2021, before joining us here at UC Berkeley. Victoria's current book project, Kumva Meze Neza, Sounding Blackness in Rwanda, examines how popular Rwandan music works in the aftermath of genocide to produce a collective social body. Drawing on 6 years of participant observation amongst Rwandan music industry professionals and their audiences, her work demonstrates how shared investments in the sensory experience of Blackness produce formations of togetherness that defy traditional organizing categories. Victoria is also the founder of the recording studio and label GMC Records Rwanda, and she is the producer and director of the film we're about to screen. So Victoria has a special event for us today. Just as a reminder, this program will end promptly at 2:30, and we will need to vacate the theater right after, but we invite folks to continue the conversation just outside in the atrium. And with that, please help me welcome Dr. Victoria Grubbs.
Thank you, Dr. Ifrit. I really appreciate the bars. Thank Thanks to everybody who's here today. I'm actually very excited to share this experience with all of you. For me, it's really a dream come true because it's another step towards my goal of facilitating musical exchanges and dialogues between my intellectual home here with the Black Studies Collaboratory and my colleagues in Kigali, who fuel Rwanda's rapidly growing local music scene with hit after hit after hit. So, because at this time Rwandan music doesn't really reach a broad international audience, I'm very happy to help facilitate that movement. These songs are catchy and made to travel. In dreaming up my contribution to this Open University series, I knew I wanted to host a gathering in Kigali. My love for Rwanda's music and musicians and the love that they have showed me carried me through graduate school and into my professional career. And this might be a relatable fear for any of us who study things we love, but I often worry that all of my writing and scholarship gets uncomfortably disconnected from the music and the audiences and the communities that inspire me. So this collaboration with the Black Studies Collaboratory offered a great opportunity to bridge that gap. I wanted to host a battle in the underground spirit and tradition of the dozens, toasting, ciphers, culture clash, but instead of focusing on recording artists or performers, I chose to highlight the work of producers. Not only is the creative labor of audio producers fundamental to bringing these songs into existence, but in the collaborative space of popular music making, producers are often the least recognized and most underappreciated contributors, despite the fact that they do the bulk of the creative work. While artists, or at least their likeness, often travel with their songs, producers tellingly release their songs out into the world. Sometimes the producer's name or their jingle might travel with the songs, but most times you would know them only by their touch. It's very common with popular music producers, and this is broadly speaking, not just in Rwanda, that we often know their work, but we don't know their names. We don't know their stories, their influences, or inspirations. And all of that is very important to me, especially when it comes to better understanding the role of popular music in contemporary Rwandan life. Less than 30 years after the ethnic divisions of a colonial imaginary, decades of resultant civil war, and widespread genocidal violence turned ordinary Rwandan citizens collectively against each other, Rwanda is now celebrated domestically and internationally for its peace and security. Following the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, the country's current leadership emerged as a guarantor of political stability and economic development. Rwandan President Paul Kagame was successfully elected for a third term with his public vision to, quote, construct a united, democratic, and inclusive Rwandan identity, end quote. Key to this official state project of national unity and reconciliation is the narration of a carefully policed, de-ethnicized Banyarwanda identity, simply translated as the people of Rwanda. But is this state project what holds Rwandan society together in the wake of such violently popular division? I believe that the role the state is said to have played in the reconciliation of Rwanda's social body has been overdetermined. Therefore, my research shifts focus from the denotational language of authority to everyday poetic uses of sound in an investigation of what Catherine McKittrick calls the scientific contours of creative labor. Recognizing that every nation state, even the colorblind neoliberal state, even the post-colonial African state, is inherently anti-Black. My attention to creative labor is motivated by my faith in the capacity of Blackness sounding to bring about the end of the world as we dream it. We know too much about genocide. For many indigenous people, genocide is an all too familiar function of the world, the everyday result of colonialism and empire. I am interested in the radical, possible afterlives sounded in the space after the end of the world, where we don't have to say never again, because the terms of engagement preclude that possibility. That, I believe, is the space of Black music. To this end, I focus on the work of cultural producers, those who dedicate their life force, their labor, to working for the culture. What capacity do these artists have in service of this project of ending the world? What fugitive strategies help them evade the absolute consumption of their energy and talents into the project of the world, which is to say, avoid being taken into the preservation and the valuation of what Sylvia Wynter would call homo economicus, or the bourgeois economic man? What other ways of being, other forms of gathering, other bodies and collectives take on flesh and breath in response to the call of Black music? The event we are going to watch together was held in Nyamirambo, a small neighborhood on the eastern edge of Kigali City, on January 13, 2023. It is structured as a battle between two popular producers' personal catalogs. There are 8 rounds. Each producer chose for themselves which 8 songs they would like to compete with, as well as the order of the songs. Each producer was also assigned a dance crew to complement their compositions. So in the film, you'll see that there are 2 different groups of dancers. The dance crew wearing green bandanas were asked to dance to Dr. Nganji's 8 songs. Likewise, the dancers wearing red bandanas were asked to dance to the Trackslayer's 8 songs. In each round, the 2 songs and the 2 dance crews battle head-to-head, and then the audience determines the winner by cheering or waving the colored flag of their choice. The ultimate winner was up to them. You'll see that the audience was very engaged, and I encourage all of you to do the same, to join in if you're so moved in that spirit. Feel free to clap, to sing, to get up and dance, to shout and holler, whatever the spirit moves you to do. This documentary is a simple invitation to be someplace more familiar than it is foreign, more near than it is far, more collective than possessive. It's an invitation to show some love. I hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Jara. See the show called Hit2Hit. This is a show, it's a competition by the producers who are Nganji and Trackslayer. You're about to see them on stage. You're about to see the dancers as well, and let's get it.
Yeah, I am the female Weezy. This shit is easy. Pull up in that nunu. Bitch, you get this sweet.
Some people just never change. Made a lot of friends and I feel the same. When I came up with just a nigga with a motivation, that's what I am. All this OG kush that I meditate, miss wanna stay up to 5 a.m.
Let's welcome Mavenye Sudi.
Urukundo urushatse ruramusanga ni nk'urufiro ruje rugatwara umuntu mugukundo mwana nawe akagukunda umvite kayajya hora kwica iruhande mugukundo mwana nawe akagukunda umvite kayajya hora kwica iruhande Minabana ni shuti yanjye nkunda nzari najya munda gisinyi vitagainda simbi ninabana ni shuti yanjye nkunda simbi nzari najya munda gisinyi vitagainda.
Dancers, welcome on the stage.
Yeah! DJ. So, I want to tell you something before they start. They are going to do a freestyle. Each one of them is going to dance. After that, let's judge.
Yeah. Are you ready? Now our show is ready. Yeah, guys. As I told you, we have a crew here. They are in 2 groups. Group 1 has green. Group 2 has red.
Red.
So I see you saw some flags. This is the system we are going to use to choose the winner. You got me? Yeah, I want to call the first producer called the Trackslayer.
Trackslayer. Trackslayer.
Please make some noise to Trackslayer. Trackslayer.
Trackslayer in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming to say Trackslayer. The second producer called Dr. Nganji.
Nganji in the house. Nganji in the house. Nganji.
Yeah.
What's the name of this show again? Remind
The name
me.
of this show. Who can tell us?
What's the name of the show again?
Let me see. Let me hear you.
Hit2Hit. These 2 guys are going to fight tonight.
Yeah.
Team Green.
Team Green.
Nganji.
Okay. Are you going to vote them? By using what?
Flag.
By using flag, okay? The Trackslayer.
You know the dancehall style. Scoot up, jump. The Trackslayer.
Bari uratwika, niba uri mwiza. Fata from pull up, wiki, ngeze mu gutwika. Aho wajya hose, agufana, gira ikibazo. Fata from nsange mu rugo, sinigera mbona amabyeyi nazimwe. Special ndaguha ipeso, kuzenguruka siri turi muri lembo. Ndabizi byava mu budomo, arikaso. Ikinyatubwira bisaba kuba maso. Gufata neza no kumuha ifundo. Amacupa agenze hejuru y'inshyizo. Uri munsi ngenda naguhabwa urukundo runyange. Babarira twibereye umuryango. Ntugire ikibazo ndakubera ingabo. Bari uratwika, niba uri mwiza.
Yeah.
Ngeze mu gutwika. Aho wajya hose, agufana, gira ikibazo. Fata foto, nsange mu rugo. Sinigera mbona amabyeyi nazimwe. Kuri cyo uri mwiza. Inyuma hano urabyina ukabica. Sinatuma ko amahirwe nkayacika. Ibyo tuvugana biri familia. Everyday girl, I want you. I'm the God in heaven.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So guys, as we told you, we have some 8 questions. For these guys, here I have like question 1 I'm going to ask the Trackslayer. Trackslayer, are you ready?
Yeah, man.
How did you choose which 8 songs to include in this competition?
All right. Thank you first of all, for choosing me to be a competitor. But it was hard for me to choose 8 songs because I've been in this career for over 10 years. So telling someone like me to choose only 8 songs is a hard test, you know. So I had to go on my feelings. Like most of the songs I loved, I picked. Yeah. So, and I hope you guys will enjoy some of the songs on the list.
Thank you, Trackslayer. You ask Dr. Nganji?
Same question. Why did you choose the 8 songs that your dancers are about to dance to? Why?
I chose these 8 songs because I have so many songs in the studio, the one I have released. But I chose 8 songs with the dancers so that they can be free to dance with my vibes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Very good. Second crew on the stage.
Second crew,
The stage is yours. Yeah!
Amelan water one. Derepan. She only likes Shaggy Boo. She only likes Shaggy Boo. She only likes Shaggy Boo. Sexy people like Shaggy Boo. She only likes Shaggy Boo. She only likes Shaggy Boo. them wanna die. She don't really like Shadi Boo. She don't really like Shadi Boo. She don't really like Shadi Boo.
I wish they could continue. Team Red, show me your flags, man. Show me your flags.
Yeah, please show us your flag.
Cool.
Team Green. I'm not going to count, guys. Now I see. Dr. Nganji is the winner right now, okay? I'm going to come up with the second question right now. So let me start by Dr. Nganji.
Yes.
So, Dr. Nganji,
Right.
what was your inspiration for making this song? How did you come to work with the artists?
I like to experience the music. In my background, I didn't have a good background in the music. So right now, I'm trying to focus how I can experience the new sound, how can I make it to give the sound I want to the people. So that's the process I did for doing those songs.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It is understandable. I'm going to ask also Trackslayer, but same question. I think they all have different vibes. Trackslayer, what was your inspiration for making this song? How did you come to work with these artists?
So the inspirations on the songs were different. Some were brought by the artists, some were brought by me. So depending on how the vibe I had that day. Yeah, but most of them were made with a teamwork. Yeah, thanks.
Saza yikanze araterura abaza umuhungu wa rero umura nta n'icyo uzabura amenya uko imihanda iharugwa asa ni mwabo ni twabo asa ni mwabo twabo ni agasuzuguro maze kurangwaho n'umugayo bihagararaho nk'abagabo gusa ntibyababujije gupfa kwa muntu n'ubundi ntaho gajya kwihiringa n'ahantu bitaba tuzana njye ndashaka niko tubigenza niba udashaka kubibona urasa kubyumva ntanabuza guhezwa n'ubundi zakorewe gucezwa nibande tujyana nimwite kubana tewe zacu no kubaha dukore mu manywa dukugire sawa ijoro ko turabaha nta na kimwe bazunge nk'iyacupa ibatera imishiha nta na hamwe bagitwika nitweme kubatera inseka ko mbona nanjye bide ko mbona hindutse usanze babaye igihembe abaza umuhungu wa rero umura nta n'icyo uzabura amenya uko imihanda iharugwa
Itwebwe!
asa ni mwebwe
Imwebwe!
itwebwe.
Oh, that is the crew on the side of Dr. Nganji. Yeah. The second crew on the side by Trackslayer. Welcome on the stage.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah,
That record, that drum. Slayer, business sergeant is nigga. What's not sergeant with a trigger. Restless assassins in the Kuri magazine. Umwami w'injyana stana. Agaba ibitero mu muziki. Baramusina mu mubiriki. Since niba hari benshi bazi byatsi nkanjye niba bahari abatama banje. Niruka tugarutse mu Rwanda. Muhanyi wa yawe kuminata. Salomon w'Ikigali Yuda Iscariot BUNLD. Sinyiri mu njyana y'umujinya. Nasanze abanzi banjye badatinya. Icyakenya igirwa inama yo gutwara ibintu gacu hani hori hose muri make. Bayikiboneza mvuga nk'umusaza. Baramuka vuba nk'umusaza. Imisaza nk'umusaza. Nkora nimara gusaza. Bayikiboneza mvuga nk'umusaza. Baramuka vuba nk'umusaza.
going to vote. The first team is by Dr. Nganji. Where is green?
Hey, hey.
Trackslayer! Trackslayer!
Do you guys think of the audience when you are writing your songs, when you are producing your songs?
Yeah.
Do you think of your audience? Dr. Nganji, answer the question first.
Me, I like to go to the party, to the shows. So when I'm going to do a song, I think about obviously the audience.
That's cool.
How gonna they experience the music? I'm gonna give to them.
Trackslayer, do you think of your audience when you are producing your music?
Everybody knows I've stood with Rwandan hip hop from the top. Yeah. That's the most important thing I take care of. I really love my fans. That's why I stick with hip hop music from day one. Yeah.
Thank you. Please make some noise to Trackslayer. He's the one who is the winner right now, right? Yeah.
Just hold me like a baby, control me, yeah. Why a man call me baby like water? Bring up this love like a song and promoter. Our love, baby, you're the generator. I'ma do you well, me not be a dictator. Impere yao entemera, kona undi wanyura. Utengo kutegi, sweet like a bongo and bright like a candle. Unye mere yeah. I'ma hold you down, take away the pain. You are needing mama. You better now and get mera. Go, one and yora. Go, no we go down. Get mera. One and yora. Go, no we go down.
Yeah. So who is on the bottom of by the Trackslayer? Trackslayer, where are you? Okay. I see you guys.
We were more green at first.
I'm going to see.
Now we are more red.
Which on the side by Dr. Nganji. Where is green?
Oh,
Trackslayer
why?
is the winner right now. Here is the question number 4. It says, do you collaborate with other producers?
I collaborate with many producers, including him. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Trackslayer.
Yes.
Who are some of the producers who have really influenced you?
So, Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre. That's why it's old school producers. Dr. Nganji,
Yes.
do you collaborate with the producers?
We do hip hop. We like to collaborate every time in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, who are some of the producers who have really influenced you?
It's Dr. Dre and Timbaland.
Oh, Dr. Nganji.
ikiziga kirira cyuzura isima kubona ingagi nanyinya kwa ruguharura inzira gasima 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 nari narabaye umwana wo ku gasima aho navukaga amacomo kahakibona afite amaso mpamurete nuko azarura sinjye uhisemo izi nzira z'imibereho aho nitize kofi y'abategwa ndebemo ingangi yabuze urumva ntabwo byavamo kazungu itahanye indabo twese aduweho niriro nsaba imana igihe kimihuwemo
The Trackslayer.
The Trackslayer. Still saying Gali. Uniseko brains rwambuye ubu imirimo niyo yambaye ubasobanukiwe ni oye uyu muhungu niyo mirimo ye amuza ku mishumi y'inkweto ye yadoda ngenda muri badufotoye fayiti n'inyera twazigocoye nemera ibyo akora pani imico ye ntibukundiye injyana umva zasneya n'imigatuza na Trackslayer umviriza inzogera y'uyu munsi n'ejo nzongera abapiko bapika ibirenze bakabipfobya ngo ntabwo bihenze nyirabugenge n'ubugenge bwayo imana irabizi byose ni ku bwayo ziko nta kintu nzageraho ayinyara reka mbaze batereho akashinyaga kuziba nziritse mpambura abashenzi bereka igihandura nkeneye nk'amashini gangegera zimenyera na munaganda kijijwe senyina n'abapagani wumva ibisakuzo wumva imiganda bizi ko nyanga afata urutoki nasanze utarimbwa muri imipaki mwanga nuko leta yanga amashashi nurabona umuriro uzi ibishashi bari bazi ko ntaho nzagera bari bazi ko ntacyo binaya.
Who do you think is going to be the winner right now, this round?
Who's the winner?
Red or green? Nganji?
Trackslayer. Nganji. What do you think of the qualities that makes a song a hit? When you're making a song, what do you think makes it a hit? Is the lyrics? Is it the beat? Is it what?
Thank you for the question, but that question is hard to answer because normally when you make a song, there's sometimes you make a song and you feel it's really gonna be a hit. And then when you release the song, you totally get different feedback. But sometimes you just release a song and then it's a big hit more than you imagined. So I can't really tell what makes a song a hit. But, you know, music is just good. You can't tell when it's going to be a hit or it's not.
Yeah, we never know.
That's right.
We never know. Nganji, same question.
Okay.
When you are making a song, right, what makes you think it's going to be a hit? What makes you think that the public is going to like it?
Make it simple and it's gonna be hit. Simplicity to work in the music.
But I have another question. You answered that, right?
Yeah.
But what made you think you were a producer? What made you think that you can be a producer?
Yeah. For the first song I made, for the first song I produced, that's the time I said I can be producer.
That's the first time, right?
Yeah, the first time I said I can produce the first song
That's the time you knew that you were a producer, right?
Yeah.
What about you? What made you think you were a producer?
I think it's the trust people had for me, and they came to get sessions with me.
Siko byose
turasiganwa twigira ku kwezi bro tukambwira bisi miss rock this they talk no sense my dad's in the guest I'm in my cock is Timberland smoking trees in my motherland you winter my phone my magare inama ya kingo tukubure ibitwa bishire kuri phone kuri iminara maziba dukinire bifitiye umwanya nagutigihe agaciro kabyo birakubiye turakorera byinshi dushaka kubona ibigenzi byo badutambika mu kanwa twiga tekinike neza kuroba ifi mu mazi ukagenda ari nzima kuva ku izima no kuyakira mu mutima dufite ikaraga icupa ubu bakanatibagirwa vuba.
Who are on the side by Trackslayer? Right? Okay. Let me see on the side by Dr. Nganji. Okay, let's ask the producers some question. Nganji. Okay, let me start by Dr. Nganji. I'm going to ask Nganji a question. What are some of your biggest challenges in the studio?
Okay, thank you. As producers, we all have biggest challenges in making of music, but the biggest challenge we met all the time is all about the hardware for the music, the instrument we use. So even now, we are not happy with the tools we are working with. But we are happy that the outcome comes in what we have. We do music with what we have. No big deal, but we have big challenge.
To ask Trackslayer, same question. Trackslayer.
Yes.
So Trackslayer,
yes.
What are some of your biggest challenges in the studio?
Well, there are two types of challenges.
Yeah.
One lies with our capacity. Like our capacity as Rwandan producers, there are some hardware we know that are there out there making good things, but we can't afford to buy them because there are sounds they buy, there are hardware they buy that can change your sound. So some of us hear about the hardware and we've seen it, but we can't afford to buy those hardwares. Okay, the second one is our artists, most of our artists are on an amateur level, so they need some professional guidances while in the studios or financially. So that's the second challenge, like on the artist-wise. Some of them need a team, like they need a team to select what they really sing, how they make their music, how they project their musical career. So we make good songs, but they ain't just like that, because artists don't have projections of what to do with the music, how to do music business, and that's a great challenge we have in our music.
Yeah.
Even as you're changing, even as you're changing, what? Even as you're changing, what? Kurungana movie. Everybody's a changing. 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 Now no movie, yeah. Slow dancing down the corridor with the Henny in your hand, you know. You killing them with that big toe. Uppercut with that heavy bass. Everybody knows you're balling. Time is really changing on you right now. Everybody's up to you right now. Everybody knows you up.
Thank you.
Hey, you are next on stage, you know that.
Mazikundi kata jegu sana kani anyenda chamata. Fire, yeah. King Kong, it's a pista, yeah. Dick Mukadinto, oh you music on Mukure Moviko, yeah. Go get see, Abana Mumiti, and I got in, whiskey, no to fetty. See my genetic, Patikachi, Patipati, Masharabili, yes. Urimaki Mera NSC, usatura komatura ola usatura komatura
Dr. Nganji. Okay, the Trackslayer. Trackslayer here have some question for you.
What's your favorite style in music?
Yeah, hip hop on the way.
Yeah!
Trackslayer love hip hop. Hip hop old school.
Shout out to my brother Nganji. This is Red Ink, AK Bandy. Like a thug in the body of a Gandhi. From the street, man, nobody is not friendly. A bit hot, if hip-hop was boxing. I've been knocking rappers in the ring. Taking out the bling is the G to the FMR. And my whole team is sky in the very street. Rain, nigga. I bring the drum, hit the money camp. Puff and flow. Sniff and sneeze. They got the gameplay like the oak belt on your outfit. Triple S's. Guess what I see through my sunglasses? I can see through your big ass. Hook his ass. About nothing. Even got cash.
Yeah, classic. Communist
And now the winner is Dr. Nganji.
What's your goal for the future?
I want to put the Rwandan music to the map so everybody should recognize our music and our originality of music. We know in Rwanda we have good music, so that's my future. My future, I want to put the flag up so that everybody can recognize our music.
So, Dr. Nganji,
yes,
how will you get there?
The only tool I have is my music. I think with my music, I will get where I want to be.
Let's listen Trackslayer first.
Trackslayer, next is Trackslayer.
Let's listen Trackslayer first. Trackslayer.
Yes, man.
What are your goals for the future of your music?
Well, the goal of my future regarding music is trying to raise new artists and ease how, artists don't have financial things to come to the studio. So my goal is trying to help as many young artists as possible. Yeah.
Let me start by the one which are on the side by Dr. Nganji. Let me see the one which are on the side by Trackslayer. Okay.
So it is a great pleasure to introduce our panelists. So I'm going to start by welcoming up onto the stage Brenda Umutoniwase, who is a second-year graduate student in the Folklore Studies program at UC Berkeley. Broadly, she's interested in thinking about formulations of Blackness beyond the Black Atlantic epistemologies, particularly in spaces in contemporary Africa that don't have direct connections to the events of the Middle Passage. Her current focus is on Rwanda, and Brenda is studying how our attention to sound as a historical modality and the sonic textures of cultural production in Rwanda challenge our notion of the archive and memory, offering alternative means through which to think about Blackness and Black life and imagine new Black worlds. So please welcome Brenda to the stage. Also, I asked Brenda to do this so last minute, and she's really like a pinch hitter, so I just appreciate her. So next is Dr. James Gordon Williams, who's going to be joining us via Zoom, hopefully on the screen very shortly. Dr. Williams is a composer, a pianist, an improviser, and a cultural theorist. He's worked with a number of artists, including MacArthur Fellow Fred Moten, Pulitzer Prize-winning composer Anthony Davis, Miles Griffith, Gregory Porter, George Lewis, and many more. He's performed in storied places such as Birdland, Village Vanguard, and music festivals across the US, Switzerland, France, and Italy. His recent compositions include the Syracuse Stage commissioned music for playwright Kyle Bass's Salt City Blues, and an original commissioned work for Campagna della Corombari. Please welcome Dr. James Gordon Williams as well. The second two panelists will be the two producers that you saw in the film Hit2Hit. The first is the Trackslayer. There he is. Welcome, Trackslayer. Trackslayer is a Rwandan audio producer, a beat maker with over a decade of experience making hits around the country. He's worked with many of Rwanda's most celebrated artists, such as Bulldog, Riderman, Green Pea, the late J. Polly, and many more. He's cut a niche as one of the top hip-hop music producers in Rwanda and brought success to two of the country's longest-standing studios, Unlimited Records and Touch Records Rwanda. So thanks for joining us, Trackslayer.
Thank you very much.
And lastly, Dr. Nganji. Dr. Nganji is a Rwandan musician, record producer, executive, and entrepreneur. Dr. Nganji's first breakthrough production was 2017, a hit single called Zombie, a Kenya trap song that featured all of the artists that you saw in many of the videos earlier today, like Bushali, Crazy K, Mazimpaka Prime, and White Monkey. After further work on Green Fairy's music mixtapes, Bushale's debut studio album, Nyiramubande, produced by Dr. Nganji, became a prominent record in the country and influenced and sparked the Kenya trap movement in the Rwanda music scene, a fusion of Rwandan poetry and trap melodies never heard before, birthing an entire new style of sound in Rwanda. So please welcome Dr. Nganji. And I'm going to have a seat, and then we will get started.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited. Victoria told me to do this last minute, but I'm so happy to be here. I'm really, really happy, and watching the video for the second time, I think I'm much more happier than I was the first time. Dr. Nganji and Trackslayer, muraho neza. I hope you can see me. Ndishimye cyane kubabona.
Nice to see you too.
Nice to see you. So beginning, I really want to first ask both Dr. Nganji and Trackslayer. This was such a phenomenal project to be involved in. I was wondering what it was like for you, both of you, to participate in this competition, but also the screening of the film and the film production in itself. What was the experience for you? Perhaps you could begin with Dr. Nganji.
Yes. So for me, it was good. It was a pleasure to be a part of that event. and it gave me experience. I was never taught that two producers can give a show like that. It was a great experience, and we like it. I guess so.
Thank you so much.
That's
Trackslayer, please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you very much for the question. Well, my experience with the show was, I was very surprised. I didn't know people could cheer up like that. I didn't know people could enjoy the music like that. And the most other thing that I honored was to be versus him, because I'm like the old generation of hip hop music in Rwanda, and he's like the new version of these days, because I've been working for over 10 years. So I take him as my little brother. So I was very happy to battle him, and I was very happy to win him too.
Those are great.
Thank you both. Thank you for your answers, and thank you for trusting me and joining on this journey, and thank you for Zooming in the middle of the night with us right now. I really appreciate you. The next question is for Dr. Williams. I would like to know, before we get too deep into it, if you could just share your first impressions of the film, or how was your experience sort of as a viewer coming to it for the first time?
Well, thank you for the question. It's a pleasure to be here. I did see the film several times, and I've enjoyed every single time. I've enjoyed the kind of a musical space that is created within this competition. You know, want me to get too deep into it, so I'll go layer by layer. But just the you know, the framing of this event as Hit2Hit and described initially as a fight, I thought was very interesting, because I think we're all winners in viewing this exchange, and you know, following Dr. Nganji's word, you know, about raising the flag for Rwandan music. I think this really does it and really promotes a kind of awareness of the creativity that's happening in that music for this. So I saw it less of a competition and more of a win for everybody. And I'll stop there.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. I was thinking about how sitting there, I was really jamming to a lot of the songs. I jumped to them back home in Rwanda. So it was a whole full circle experience for me, and especially for those of us really invested in thinking about the possibilities that Black sound offers us in making other worlds, and thinking about that globally as well. It's very, very, such an enchanting experience. And again, going off of the words that Dr. Williams has mentioned, I want to ask both Dr. Nganji and Trackslayer, beginning with Trackslayer, you've been involved with a lot of legendary hip-hop artists in Rwanda, beginning with J. Polly, may his soul rest in peace, Bulldog, Tough Gangs generally, such a big fan. And Dr. Nganji yourself, you have kind of pioneered a really unique style, Kenya Trap, which Dr. Grubbs mentioned in a moment. Would you, both of you, give us a little brief overview of what the history of hip-hop in Rwanda looks like, and what your place in it is or has developed to be? Perhaps you could begin with Trackslayer.
All right, thanks a lot again for the question. So for me, getting backwards for the hip-hop history in Rwanda, I can start where I came, like where I started. Because before I came, there were like rappers like DMAs. We only had like 2 rappers. Then after they came the breakthrough of Tough Gangs. Tough Gangs break through the industry. So after Tough Gangs came through, like 2 years, that's where I came and continued with them, Bulldog and those guys, but they had somehow separated. But that's the short history I can give you about the hip hop. So from there, I started working with them very, very much. And I can say we were like only 2 producers working for hip hop in Rwanda, me and David Enko. So were like the youngest generations of those days. So we like others released Afrobeats music. So, you know, commercially, people prefer dancing to the Afrobeats, but hip hop is more like a teaching. It's more like a culture. So we only had some fans, but the diehard fans, yeah, that's what I could say. Hip hop has diehard fans, few, but you know, up to nowadays, people call me, they tell me I love this song. Like the songs never get old in hip hop, yeah. So if you play, you've had like my playlist I made. I try to mix the genres, but the hip hop I added there was like old school and more of that flavor Rwandans loved about hip hop. So my place in that hip hop is like I held it up to the 2000s sounds, you know, the sounds that came up in 2000s of hip hop. So I mixed the old school and I added those sounds to make a groove, and it made it competitive with the Afrobeats those times. Yeah. So one of the things that have kept me my chair in the hip hop music is that thing that I still have the old school guys. And even recently we released another song with Bulldog. So we've been working for over 10 years. And it seems we've secured a spot, as people call me, the Dr. Dre of Rwanda, you know. So my part in that, I'm like the youngest in the old school generation of hip hop music.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Nganji?
Yes. Me, my belief in hip hop, like, it's different. Like, I think hip hop is from our ancestors. Like, our ancestors, they used to use poetry and it's feel connected. As musician, I believe like our things is something spiritual. So the thing we do, I think ancestors, like our ancestors did it before. Like me, I had a chance to have some collection from museum from Belgium. So I had the music from 50s, so that our ancestors used to rap while they singing. So as my colleague says, like people feel connected with hip hop more than other genres here in Rwanda. Like we have the hard fans, the die-hard fans who really like our music and feel connected with the hip hop music. So for me, that was the idea for Kenya Trap. So Kenya Trap means we do it in our way from Kenya Rwanda, from our culture, but we do like those kind of the new sound of pop. So the idea was like that for Kenya Trap.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful, thank you. I wanted to go to Trackslayer, to something that you said in the film that really touched me. When you were speaking about Rwandan hip hop, you said, "That's the most important thing I take care of." And I thought that was a really beautiful moment. I was wondering if you could talk to us about why care is important and some of the ways that you take care of the music.
You know, for me, I started doing it for the love I had for the music, because I grew up listening to different types of rap music, and I got inspired by the messages they were talking about. It was good music and it had impact on the youth those days. But nowadays you see like people sing things that you can't even help you don't inspire you, things like that. So what I said, I take care of the hip hop music. What I mean is that I try to keep the production of the hip hop music in Rwanda going. I even make measures, because I know the youth don't have enough capital to pay for the songs. So I try to make it easy for them to do the music. Once I hear that you're a rapper, you believe in music, so I understand the hustle, because I'm a good example of someone who followed his career and now is still surviving for 10 years. I'm a married man, I have other businesses that came through music, because I respected everyone that loved the music. And then I made it easy for them, especially rappers, because when you see in Rwanda, if you talk about hip hop music, they will tell you people and they will mention my name because they always say, why can't you make other genres? So that's why in the past 3 years, I've tried to do other genres just to show people I can, but my most inspiration was from hip hop because that's what that's what I grew listening to. So what I try to do, taking care of hip hop right now, even in the projects I have, because I said, there's not enough capital in music to make you survive, to make you live, to make you fulfill the responsibilities you have. So I try to do other side projects, but in multimedia, I do advertisements. I have an advertising company. I do videos. Like I try to make money from multimedia, not just music. So my plan is to invest it back in hip hop. What I do is I raise up the youth. Then I'll tell them to sing about things that have use in the community, not singing about trash music. That's what I call it for me, because you listen to a song and you can't even pick a word from the song. So I said, people back in the days were led by hip hop because of the message, but now it's like the message is fading. So what I'm trying to do is set up my company very well, have funds so that I can sign young artists. Even now, I work closely with them, but it's so sad I can't help them further than producing the songs. The songs need videos, they need promotions, I know those things, and I've tried to document myself, teach myself what to do, how to do music business, distribution, things like that. And so far, what I see is that once someone puts, someone who understands music, invest back in music. So that's when music will start being on a good thing financially. But nowadays you find people, especially in Rwanda, investors don't know thing about music. They're just music lovers. They're just music listeners. But you see, even in the States, for example, most people that invested in music and had impact were those that did it before. The Dr. Dre's, Kanye West, those guys. They know what the hustle is. They know what to do. So that's what in Rwanda we need, so that people that understand music come back and invest in music. That's when it will be something very great. So I'm trying to do that, but especially on the hip hop genre.
A very beautiful and thoughtful answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trackslayer. Going back to Dr. Nganji, you're very big on vibe. You are really big on vibe, and it's something that also came up in the documentary. You relate so much with the audience, and to some of the questions you talk about wanting to give the sound you want to the people. And I want to also relate this to your previous response on how your inspiration for Kenya trap comes from the culture, Rwandan culture, which was the language itself, and it's very lyrical and very poetic. So I want to ask, what is that sound you want to give to the people? Can you describe that sound? And perhaps how you would like for it to make the people feel?
Like for me, I can't describe like the sound that I want to make, but I really like the sound that can make people dance. I like the sound that can connect people. So mostly my sound, that's the sound I want. I want the music to connect the people. I want the music can heal the people. Like people, they call me here Dr. Nganji, but I'm not doctor, but I'm doctor to heal through the music. So my music, I want that feeling. If you feel depressed, you can hear through the music. So I want the music to connect people as well. As you know, our history, the only thing we have here in Rwanda, it's all about connection. So how people can collaborate each other, so that's the thing that can calm and connect people. So my music, that's how I want to feel, how to make people feel. Like, that's the music I want to give people. And
thank you so much.
I think like I want to be collaborative, more collaborative with the music.
Thank you, Dr. Nganji. That's actually a really beautiful segue to the question I was going to pose to Dr. Williams, which is about collaboration. Brenda and I both noticed when we were watching the film together how your individual sets came together and merged to make like one really beautiful whole performance. And I had asked Dr. Nganji, as a composer himself and as an accomplished improviser and jazz musician, if he could speak to the improvisatory nature of this event, the way that all of the different elements came together in the moment to make something different than I think either of you could have predicted individually. So Dr. Williams, if you are open to speaking on that, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Thank you for the question. No, we've come to expect, you know, artistic practices to be in categories, you know, and to be in sort of these aesthetic silos. And what you see in this documentary is that merging that you just discussed. When I first came to the documentary, I had the mindset of analyzing and sort of comparing the sound of Trackslayer and Dr. Nganji, right? And so, but what I saw was what was also featuring dance and could be construed as a dance competition. And frankly, it was strange to me to see what was essentially being promoted as a music competition that sort of foregrounded the dancers on the stage. And so I tried to listen hard to what distinguished these two musicians. And certain things I heard were things like the use of textures, the various textures, right? Each producer is deploying textures in a different way, in a very creative ways. But, and by the way, that speaks to some other comments that were made in the film, which I think it's featured, you know, prominently in the African diaspora, Afro diaspora, the Black people all over the world, sort of making a way out of no way. I was struck by the comment that said that if we don't necessarily have the hardware that we need to make the music that we want to make, and I think it's extraordinary what you have done with the limited hardware. Now, I don't know exactly what pieces of hardware that you need or that you've seen and can't get, but you've done extraordinary things without it. And this idea of making a way of no way. So that stuck out to me. But this merging of the dancing, you not only have the merging of the dancing on stage and with the music of the producers, you have the also merging of the audience with everything in one sort of collective space, all sort of making the music and embodying the music together in an improvisational way. And that was very appealing to me as well. I think there was another piece to your question that perhaps
Actually, it's a great lead-in because you brought up the dancers, and that's where I was going to go next. Mm-hmm. I was in sort of imagining this event self-conscious about that thing that you mentioned about the dancers being front and center, but also understanding that in the spaces in which these songs would be sort of organically evaluated, dancing would always be at the center of that. And so that didn't seem out of the ordinary. It was just a kind of way to visualize something that we're not necessarily used to seeing. But if you feel comfortable also just speaking on the role of the dancers, this would be a great time for that.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with what you just said. In terms of, it's really extraordinarily beautiful and hip in the way that the various dancers on the various teams, and really they're seem to be all on one team. I mean, they're representing the red and the green, but I also see them together as sort of a dance orchestra. Yeah, I love the way that they visually bring life to the variegated musical ideas that Trackslayer and Dr. Nganji, the music that was being played in that space. And, I think that music informs dance, but dance also informs music. And so it's a wonderful feedback loop. But like I said at the beginning of my comments, we're often trained to think of these mediums, if you will, as separate. And I think that this, breaks down those type of binaries, those type of dichotomies. And I think really, the creative art in the Afro diaspora is always transdisciplinary, going back probably millennia. And so if we think that this is new, and these sort of the collaborations, and you can think about the film element as well. And by the way, I love the way that when the camera is on each producer, the film speed of the speed of the film seems to slow down as a way of sort of emphasizing the aura around each producer. I like that a lot. But so all these things happening on multiple levels, I think it creates a very dynamic and creative exploration of the music.
Thank you. I will also love to hear from you, Trackslayer and Nganji, about your experience working with the dancers. What was it like being on stage with them? What was it like thinking about them in your song selection? Like, how much were you banking on them to win this competition for you? I would just, love to hear about that experience.
For me, they surprised me a lot. The way they danced, they surprised me. So from the start, I wanted them to win with me. So it was good. And I took their number. I think we're gonna work forward for the next project, maybe.
Yeah, thank you very much. The dancers were very entertaining to me. They gave life to the music. And I think it made people enjoy more and feel the groove of the sounds. So I was very happy to see my dancers, and I was very happy with them because they also contributed something for me to win. That's what I believe, because they also danced very well. So it was good to add the dancers.
Okay, y'all, we have some time to open it up to questions from the audience. Questions, comments, feedback. I would just love to hear from you guys as well. And feel free to address our panelists.
Hi, thank you so much for this. I'm here from Brooklyn, so this is amazing to connect with you guys. Do you ever reach out to like Akon or any of the African artists that have made it here in America or in Europe or anything like that?
was that question directed? Oh, at these guys, to Trackslayer and Dr. Nganji. Do you reach out sort of outside of Rwanda to other professionals?
Well, I think the connection for us to reach there is still hard, but we've tried out so many legends like in Africa. We've talked with rappers in Kenya. So far, I've worked with rappers in Tanzania. So maybe I've also worked with, there was a project that works in Rwanda. They used to send kids to sing for Al Shakis and Street Beats. So I produced some of his songs. Yeah, but I've never got such connection to reach people like that. But I believe if we get a chance to meet them, we show them what we've done in our small country that is developing, I think they will be very interested to work with our youth.
Yeah, I think too, if I can have chance to work with other artists, like for us producers, we like placement. If I can have placement from major labels, why not? Because we know even if we are here in Rwanda, we can make songs from big artists in USA, because the technology, everything it's easy. I can make nice instrumental for trap music, for any genre, because even our thing especially it's really feel different, because what we hear here, it's really connected with Africa. So the touch is gonna be sound different. So if we can have chance to get those placements, it would be nice for us, but we still keep pushing, making connections. So one day we can make it out. We can make to the top, yeah.
And one last thing I can tell is that we work with very many diaspora people there in the US. For me, I have very many clients from the US because they tell me the studios there are expensive and I can work with them with a lower budget, I guess. Yeah. So we work with very many diaspora artists, and maybe we don't know how their songs get played there, but you can find some of our names in their hoods, I guess, like in their music playing to each other, yeah.
Another question. Yes, please, up in the back.
So I did have a question for you. What does marketing look like for you guys? How do you know what's cold, what's hot in that region?
I think that's a question for you, Slayer and Nganji, in terms of marketing your songs.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of marketing your songs, for us now we're just getting started to distributing songs, because we used to do music and anonymous people used to distribute our music. We didn't know anything about copyright. So it's like our 4th year or 5th year. Now we've known our copyrights. Now we try to market our songs, like we distribute them, we promote them. But as I told you, those things require labels, require some funds, require good videos. So it's like we don't have so much of marketing materials for our music. So things we should work on are also getting the best quality that is worth marketing, the best quality that we compete with other markets outside here. But so far now we are learning ways to get there. We have connection to Trace. Our music is being played to Trace Africa, and there's a channel called Be Black. It's also international. It's starting to play our music. So Rwandan music, we are just getting started on really getting to the top and getting to the African charts.
As you said, like here in Rwanda, we have kind of marketing like locally, But nowadays we have our things on digital platforms, so we have to promote ourselves on digital platform too. Especially, this is good chance for you. This date, I released my album featured other artists here in Rwanda. You should check out my name on any platform, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. So you can get the real sound from here artists. Because I collaborate with many artists as DJ Khaled do. Like I just produce for them the music, so it's a compilation of an album. So nowadays we went through digital. So on our social media, we try to push harder so we can promote on social media. We have to put our songs everywhere so everyone can access it. If you are in America, you can access it. Before was locally on radio station, just they play you locally and you get people, they know you here in Rwanda, just in Rwanda. But nowadays, we put our things on YouTube everywhere so we can get the audience globally. Thank you.
Another question right here, good friend Jared. Can we get the microphone down in the front? Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Grubbs. An amazing event. First of all, I wanted to say that Trackslayer, one of the songs that was played in the film, I actually know. So that, if means anything to you, it's a great song. Anyway, but I had a question actually about, well, I'll say it this way. Like, one of the things that fascinates me the most about the American strain of hip hop is that it constellates so much other kind of like cultural production around it, not only dance and visual art, but also normally like fashion, right? Like street style, things like this. It's one of my pet interests. So I was just wondering, like I saw in the film, for example, there was like that, what appeared to be like a lady in all red with like big gold earrings. There was that person with a really kind of iconoclastic slaves shirt on. Someone in a big orange jumpsuit wearing Versace glasses. And I was just sort of wondering, Trackslayer and Dr. Nganji, am I saying that right? Yeah. What is the style the like street style or the images that are kind of coming up around the scene that you're trying to build, right? Like, do you notice a shift in the way that people are dressing, in the way that they speak to one another, that is influenced, but you think, by the music that you're making? I would wonder, because it seems like those two things go together, fashion and sound. Like, where there is sound, there is style. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot. What I can tell you is that, if we go in hip hop, it's a culture. You know, the culture has way people dress, and it generates depending on the generations. So you see, most of the people came there. You see the way they enjoyed the music. They are mostly hip hop lovers. So that's why you see the dressing code matches the culture, as you know. So I think it's all about the music, and it's all about the message that you get from the music and how it makes you take yourself. Like, if I could show you a photo of me back like in 5 years or 10 years, you will see my dress and you just see the energy of, I had those days for hip hop. Even now I still have, but when you're still young, you try to express everything you feel. So, and most of the ways you show the expression is by wearing. So if I show you my pictures, you will really know that this guy is really deep in these things. So our dressing code and music can match depending on each style. Yeah.
Yes, I can add on that. The fashion and music nowadays here in Rwanda, it's moving together. Like the youth, you know, we have many people here in Rwanda. They are youth, so the youth they have starting to go in an artistic ways so that they are in fashion, they are in music. So it's going, it's going to get together. Like as our videos, when we want to shoot a video, we need the artist the fashionista. We need fashionista to help us so that the culture moves together, so that everyone, there's no one behind, so that we can move together. But the fashion with hip hop, it's totally together here in Rwanda.
That's such a beautiful question, Jared, that I wanted to open it up to Dr. Williams also, because I had a similar experience as a viewer, but also, Dr. Nganji, I have to say, just watching all of the music videos that come from your label, Green Fairy Records, they're all really iconic fashion moments. And so there's definitely an influence that I think your music is having on street style. But I wanted to just open the question up of fashion and the collaboration between music and the visual to Dr. Williams as well.
Well, I come at it from, working in various contexts with experimental filmmakers. I've worked with Colleen Smith and also Sune Woods, and so the sort of the combination of sound and the visual, and not just necessarily just fashion, but also film, it's very, very interesting because you see in these various mediums sort of the articulation of the Black aesthetic in ways that come out in such beautiful and unpredictable permutations. So I can't speak at length on, for example, how this might happen in hip hop culture, but I can tell you that, for example, the way that when I've improvised on keyboards and along with filmmakers, the idea was about space and communicating a sense of Black space within those various mediums. And particularly with Sune Woods, she found a way to improvise with film. And the way she did that was speeding up the rate of the film, slowing up and speeding it up in relation to what I was doing, and also what Fred Moten was speaking in terms of his poetry, which is why I thought that was so particularly interesting in the way that the sense of time and space was played with in various aspects of the documentary. And viewing the fashion of the dancers and the documentary, all I can say is that I thought it was very cool and very appropriate, and very hip. And I see some correlation with that, of course, with what's going on in the States. But I also see kind of the way that the rhythm and the musicality is expressed through the dancing. It's interesting that the way that it comes to the fashion in sort of its own peculiar way within the context of Kigali or Rwanda.
Yeah, definitely a memorable moment for me, the young girl dancing with her jacket. Right, like she was really working the jacket for sure. We are running out of time, but I would just love to give you guys an opportunity to give your closing thoughts, and thank you so much for being here with us. It's been just a dream come true for me, and I hope that you've enjoyed yourselves as well. So, Brenda, would you like to say anything?
Yes, I wanted to ask one last question as we close to both Trackslayer and Dr. Nganji. And I'm relating it to what both of you mentioned earlier about wanting to put Rwandan music on the map. And that has a lot to do with there being a particularity to a music, either a style or a genre, coming from a place. And there's debate on what a sound from a place sounds like. Mm-hmm. And we've seen different genres coming from different places on the continent, and the sampling culture, getting old sounds, or what people call traditional sounds, and mixing them within contemporary music to form new genres. We've seen Fuji music and people like Ashake, Rwanda, kind of like coming through that culture. We see Amapiano in South Africa. We see bongo music in Tanzania, gengeton in Kenya. So I'm wondering, do you think there's such a thing as a Rwandan sound yet? And if yes, what is that? And if no, what would that look like? Perhaps a prediction. I don't know if the question makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. So we have an organization called Rwanda Audio Producers Organization. We are both in the organization too, with other pioneers like producers in Rwanda. So one of the tasks we are working on now is collecting Rwandan sounds. Rwandan sounds like were stored in different areas. Mostly there's a French museum that is in Kigali. It had a collection of very many traditional sounds, very many traditional instruments and how they are played. So one of the projects we have now is collecting those sounds. So far we have some in our storages, like we have recorded traditional music, traditional instruments. Maybe we can list the names. They have names in Kinyarwanda, and you can't even find those names in the English dictionary because they were only for Rwandese musicians. Maybe like for the neighboring countries and neighboring cultures, they had similar to those instruments but transformed. So we are trying to correct those sounds and then mix it up with our normal drum kits we had, like how you can mix those sounds with hip-hop drum kits and you produce a song. So far, I've made a song of a guy called Diplomat. He has a song where we sampled Rwandan sounds, Rwandan traditional sounds. So I was trying to see how it can match and create our own sound. So that's a big project, and it requires documentation and reading to see how they used to play the music. There are even some codes that are different. Like if you play a Rwandan instrument and you try to match it with a piano, you feel something's off and you can't understand what's off. You feel the music, even the timing of our traditional drum kits, like how we arrange them. We don't use the normal ways because we have we use PSTs. But if you are trying to make a song for a wedding and you have to use traditional Rwandan sounds, so you totally do a different way. You don't go like using the metronome and using those things. They don't work there. So you just have to understand the groove and you match with it and get a good sound. So for now, maybe we haven't got people to listen to our traditional Rwandan sounds, and that's what we are going to fight for, and that's what we are trying to do in our organization as producers. But soon enough, you see, we had a late artist, Ivan Bravan. He had released an album like only with Rwandan sounds, So we need a movement like that of people doing that, releasing songs containing Rwandan music. So if you listen to a song, like you people, music, you say, what kind of instrument is this? And then you have to know it's from Rwanda, it's played like this, it was maybe invented by this kind of people. So that's what we are trying to do, release so many music, maybe mostly albums, including those sounds, because now we have them in our storages.
Thank you so much. Phenomenal response.
Yes. Yeah, for our music already has the signature, our music, but I don't know, maybe it's the marketing, maybe, because our music sound different, totally different with other music. When we go to the culture way, it's totally different. And our music, nowadays, I'm working on a project of sampling those projects you were saying. actually the colonizer, they came and took the recordings. So and they put outside to the museum. So nowadays our government claimed those archives. So the archives, they are here right now. So when you try to listen to those songs, you had those, as I told you, they've been rapping since 50s. They've been rapping through their songs with our instrument. You know, the instrument called inanga. Inanga is totally different. It's not piano. It sounds different. So our music is still there, and that's why we made the genre called Kenya Trap. As we said, we can use the new technology. We can use computer. We can use piano, but we play it in our way. It's gonna be different. Even if you can listen to my sound right now, you can't compare with other artists like in USA. Always there will be that touch from Rwanda. Like we do it in our own way. Like you can lend us guitar, or they can lend us guitar, but I will do in my own way. That's it. Like our music, that's how it has its signature. But it's like it's beyond, like it's huge. Like our music is huge. Like we can mix up many genres. Like as I have had the archives, there are a lot of music there.
Thank you, Brenda, for that beautiful question, and both of you for such thoughtful answers. You've given me a lot to think about. Dr. Williams, do you have any closing thoughts before we say goodbye?
I would just say that you can draw a line to what Trackslayer is saying about, you can't really tell what's going to be a hit or what's really going to be popular. You just have to continue making the music that you want to make, the sounds that attract you, that come together for you, and that draw on everything that you know in your culture. And I think that's the best way to continue raising up the flag for Rwanda and continuing to create your own sound. I find what you said very interesting about sort of the different tuning systems. And, and of course, in Europe, you have sort of the well-tempered system. We're not interested in that, are we? We're interested in developing our own sounds that reflect our own cultural identity, to put our particular stamp on the world. So keep on doing what you're doing, and I'll be following you to see how that grows. And thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful project.
Thank you, too, for joining us. Thank everybody for being here. And I think that's our conclusion. So can we just give them a round of applause?
Yes. And thank you to Victoria Grubbs for putting this together. We'll all be looking for the playlist. We'll all be looking to raise the flag. Last things, please join us next week, March 1st, for continuation of a conversation on hip-hop. Next week will be Hip-Hop Feminism's Questions of Pornography, Power, and Possibility, organized by our other postdoctoral fellow, Dr. Peace and Love L. Henson. Have a great week, y'all.